Public Library District Board of Trustees to order. And could we have a roll call, please, Christine?
Wallers.
Yes.
Chamberlain.
Yes.
Ramirez.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Friedman.
Here.
Steele. Here.
Have the Pledge of Allegiance now. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a mural.
We have a mural to honor Mary Stevens for her generous dedication to all students and their family in honoring Mary. And Christy Cutler, who's the head of youth services, has some words.
Mary Stevens worked in youth services for over 34 years. Probably a lot of you in here either worked with her through the library or seen her in her programming through the library or possibly the park district. I was fortunate to work with Mary for about 15 of those years. She was a big part of our department, and when we thought about what we wanted to do to remember and honor her service, we created this, creating this mural was perfect. She loved doing programs for young children. Loved doing them. And the families loved her too. I remember thinking about how to accommodate the crowd that she built up for her Baby Goose program. It was over like 70, 80 people that we had in the room the one week, and we weren't sure if we could even have the program continue on in the way it was because they were bursting out of the seams. The mural gave us a way to remember Mary and some of her favorite songs, stories, and programs that she had. The artist Kevin Lupert had painted the mural for us. It's the same artist that did the one that's hanging out at the Montgomery campus. When creating this design, the youth services staff had the opportunity to suggest characters and put the one that at Montgomery, and we did the same thing for this. In this case, in Mary's mural, we wanted to make it reflect our memories of her work here at the library. First, we put Mary in it. She's the one in the purple shirt. Reading the story, and it's set in a park. She absolutely loved doing story times all around town. She loved having the community be involved in the library and the library being involved in the community. She always does a rhyme, teddy bear, in her toddler and preschool story times. You couldn't sub in for one of her programs without doing that. There was a small riot if you didn't. She also did a stuffed animal sleepover with her coworker and good friend, Ruth Craver. It was an annual event, and the two of them went to town dressing up the bears themselves, the volunteers. It was always a big deal. So we've included a teddy bear to remind us of that. Mary also did a Dr. Seuss program with Ruth. If you ever saw their antics and skits, it was hilarious. They would chase each other with mops. It was great. The two of them acted out the stories, the Dr. Seuss stories, and one of them was 10 apples up on top, and so that's why the girls balanced the apples. Another one of her favorite programs to do that filled up within like an instant was an American Girl Tea Party, so we included a tea party in this one. Overall, we wanted the scene to be really happy and active and playful, and of course to feature the kids, which were an important part of Mary's work here. And we wanted it, the mural itself, to bring joy to the department like she did to all the families she touched all the time she was here. So it'll be going downstairs behind the services desk at this building. And her husband Paul and the family also contributed to the mural, as well as the friends of the libraries.
That's great. We appreciate that very much. I know the library appreciated Mary and the community. So thank you very much. Thanks for coming tonight, too.
Would it be okay to take a picture with the family in the mural?
How much of the family do you want? Jack, go Jack.
Oh.
Thank you so much. We have, Jack, so I can take your
Yeah.
Standing there.
Henry, come on.
Mr. Reynolds.
Are you looking at? Say cheese, Jack.
I got a whole bunch.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, we're moving on to number 5, approval of minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you.
I'll second it, but there's just one, my name is spelled wrong in one spot. That doesn't really matter, does it? It
We'll
doesn't
get that
matter.
fixed.
Doesn't
No,
matter.
we'll get it fixed, absolutely.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other questions about the minutes? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Waller?
Yes.
Tamlin?
Yes.
Ramirez?
Here.
Carter?
Yes.
Friedman?
Yes.
And Deal? Yes.
Okay, Sarah, correspondence.
We had a couple things. We had a notice to the trustees that was forwarded by email, but here's the actual physical copy. We also had a request that the signage be in a font that is easier to use to read for children having difficulty early reading and children with dyslexia. So we're going to look into that and make our signs for the Seacon font a little easier to read, as well as a request for no food and drink on the desks. And again, that will be a staff issue that we'll get into. That was the correspondence.
Okay, financials. Sarah, anything stand out?
Nothing. We're at this point in the budget year that we have 99.2% of our income in. The only thing over budget are things that we pay once a year, such as the audit fee, liability, and magazine subscriptions. Are there any questions?
While you're looking, could I get a motion in a second on the financials, please?
I'll make a motion to the approval of the fund balance and revenue and expense reports.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call please.
Deal? Here. Friedman?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
Ramirez?
Yes.
Tamlin?
Yes.
And Waller?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to the accounts payable. Sarah?
We have two things. On page 22, Flo and I incorporated that is the bike share program that we have for 12 months. We get those funds through a grant, and the use of the bike has been steadily increasing, especially at the Montgomery campus. As well as on page 24, you'll see the spring programs have been printed, and we have some extra copies for the board members, as well as some at the end of the table there, if anyone's interested in having a program bag. Are there any questions on any of the other bills?
Roof leak here, roof leak,
Roof leak was here.
we had it before last night.
But
Can we have a motion on the accounts payable, please?
I move we approve the February 2023 bills in the amount of $311,609.
Second.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Is that supposed to be February 2024?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
I'm still writing checks that say 2023.
It takes me
Paid a
so
couple
long.
of bills the other day, and I did that.
So long to switch over.
Roll call, please.
Friedman,
Yes.
Harder,
Yes.
Ramirez,
Yes.
Hamblin,
Yes.
Wallers,
Yes.
myself, yes.
Okay, Sarah, Director's Report.
Circulation still continues to increase, 46,000 as of last month, and 239 additional new patrons were registered in the month of January. Chris and I went and spoke at the Plainfield Library Staff Day on our adventures in moving for our 7 moves that we've had in the last 10 years, and that we've moved every book at least 4 times. So that was interesting for them as well as us to remember. We also had a popular puzzle swap during the month of January where people brought in a puzzle and replaced it with a new one. It's very popular. Our craft swap will be taking place on Saturday, April 27th, as well as the Friends of the Library will have their annual book sale on August 3rd and 4th. They also met and donated funds to all of the programs for the summer. So, unless there were questions.
Any questions for Sarah? If not, could we have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve the director's report.
Thank you.
Second.
Anything else? If not, roll call, please.
Ramirez,
Yes.
Hamblin,
Yes.
Wallers,
Yes.
Deal, yes. Friedman,
Yes.
Harder.
Yes.
Okay. Committee reports, we don't have any reports, but we have a personnel committee meeting directly after this meeting.
Correct?
And then we also need to schedule a finance
In April.
in April.
And yes, we'll have PMA come back and do more of a deep dive in the report that they created, as well as discussion of the working budget for this upcoming fiscal year of 2025.
Okay. For that one, I guess my suggestion would be, from the amount of information that Mr. Kim is presenting to us on a short version, that we may want to have that not after a regular meeting. We may want to schedule a separate meeting for that purpose, and also to take a look at the budget at that time. So I guess I would say we'll schedule a finance committee meeting, we'll check with the committee, make sure you can make it. We'll pick up hopefully an open day, and anyone else who would like to participate can do that. So you can listen to Mr. Kim's full presentation and so on, okay? But it'll be just for that purpose.
Do a date in mind.
Problem is the meeting room is so often used, so we'll look and see which ones we have open.
Yeah.
Get us a couple dates, see which
We'll
works.
send you a couple of dates and then we'll make it work. Okay? Okay. No unfinished business at this time? Very good. New business. Okay, appointment of 2 trustees to review the minutes. I know I picked on some of you before. Emily, I think you're the new kid.
And, oh, I was keeping my head down and everything.
You were
I'll be right
trying hard.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Okay. Pete, you want to help?
Sure.
Very good. Very good, thank you. And we have a meeting date ordinance. Please look in your packet. Sarah's prepared our meeting dates for the next year. here, there we go, page 46. Those are our normal dates. And if I could have a motion on the ordinance, please?
Motion for the approval of ordinance 24-3, meeting date ordinance.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Otherwise, you will publish this or send this to the media?
Yes.
Thank you. Roll call, please. Christine?
Martyr.
Yes.
Deal. Yes. Friedman.
Yes.
Ramirez.
Yes.
Tamlin.
Yes.
Waters.
Yes.
Okay. Sarah? Outreach vehicle.
Yes. We have had our recommendation from meeting with our consultant. He met with the library staff on all the things that we could do with outreach vehicles, and created two that responded to some of the things that we had thought of that would be great ways to reach the community. He came up with a large outreach vehicle, as you can see with the features listed here, with some pictures of kind of the concept of what it is, as well as a small outreach vehicle, which would be closer to a larger van. Both of them, we have requested that be able to be driven by regular staff and not require a CDL license, and also be small enough and flexible enough to be getting all around different parts of our community, as well as under the height of the bridges that we did check, the bridges that we have to be able to go under the bridge. That's one of our main routes between Route 25.
So we were talking about how nice it would look for the Oswego Library District van to be sitting in front of nursing homes, schools, in an effort to outreach into the community. Could be for events too, Gray Fest, and those types of things. So at this time, what are we looking at?
Just to review the recommendations, see if there's any questions from the board that I can go back with. Any specific details that you might need from a recommendation, or things that you had questions about. The timeline would be, even if we put in the bid tomorrow, would be a year for the van, 2 years for the small bookmobile.
Sarah, in the large bookmobile, would people enter that and select from within the van or the large vehicle?
That's correct, and then we would have the collections geared toward the type of the population when we go visit. It would be a smaller collection, but we can also have different collections that would go in and out. And the book carts could be interchanged, so you'd have one, yeah.
And then for the small vehicle, how would you do that?
It would also be that you can have interchangeable carts.
So you'd still go in the
You still
small
go in,
one? There's
and it
enough
would-
room to make
that-
that happen?
Exactly, you wouldn't have people walking in and out of the van, but you could move the trucks using there's a chair lift in the back of it, moving them up, wheeling them in, and then you could wheel them out into the community. For example, you go to a senior living home, have the carts all ready to go, bring them down on a wheelchair ramp, and roll them into the community.
When we talked about it, we talked about this being something new to us, in the fact that we've got to find a place to park it. Maintaining it will be new. It'll involve staff in one way, shape, or form or another. One of the thoughts that we talked about was the idea of trying it first with the van, the small one. It's going to be a year before we receive it anyway, and then take a year of trying it out, seeing how it works, do an evaluation of it, and then come back at that time and make a decision on the larger purchase. So that would kind of dip our toe in the water first, at least to see how it would work, but still give us a presence out in the community.
Sarah, you said 2 years though for the small vehicle, right?
1 year for the van, 2 years for the bookmobile.
Oh.
So a question on operating cost.
Mhm.
Can we get a projection of like a month for an annual basis? What would, obviously, two different costs for these two different vehicles. What would be the breakdown of cost? I mean, do you anticipate this requiring extra staff? Is it gonna be done with the current staff?
We would have to have extra staff. We can't just send one person out by themselves. We have to have at least two. There's insurance on the vehicle we'd have to get, and then we also looked at what price for the gas, what types of gas per vehicle, and easier to fill up, as well as a general maintenance cost. I can get more specific, but I was just kind of getting some general questions.
And then on the insurance, I mean, on the vehicle, what about the liability of the staff out in the public? So is that covered in the insurance or?
Get vehicle coverage, but we have, like, we generally go out and outreach already, so that would be covered for what we currently do.
My comment about it is, I've had experience with this, and I know what a positive thing it is, because I don't want to go into a lot of detail and bore people with that, but I have had experience with this, and it's very positive. That's my one comment, and I only wish that, going back decades, I'm a former Long Beach student sitting right there, I only wish that we had this decades ago, when the kids at Long Beach School didn't have any access to the library. We only had this library, they had no access. So we opened up the library at Long Beach School in the summer, had all 13,000 books circulating 2 days a week for the kids so they could have access. And then of course that got shut down because they put Long Beach School under instruction. But if you remember, those of you that have been here a long time, then they opened up a little storefront over there behind by McDonald's. That was very successful for a while. And that was long before we ended up with that second library, you know, so. But I worked in a summer program with farm workers, and the kids just loved going on that bookmobile. I have nothing but positive things to say about it.
Recently, I visited Oswego Elementary School, and kind of a similar theme to what Terry had said is that those folks are in the library district, but they don't generally get to the library. So having the bookmobile available at that school, I think, would be very helpful to that elementary school. So, yeah, I'd be supportive of it. I'd like to understand. It seems like the small van would work because probably most places you go, you have sheltered area and you're doing it within the facility. Like if you went to a school, that would, then you just go into the school, set up, and people would come in and you would check them out and all that.
Now, would that be the same in the summer?
You'd bring like a covered tent and wheel them under the tent.
Okay, because I was gonna say, I would think this would be very active in the summer.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So, but Sarah, you're confident you can make the small one work?
Yes.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
It's hard being a Sarah.
Same principle. Yes, Sarah.
Thank you.
So right now, we're just making a motion to evaluate.
Evaluate, yes. I can get some additional costs.
I'll make a motion on the outreach vehicle.
Second.
Any other thoughts? Roll call, please.
Wallers,
Yes.
Hamblin,
Yes.
Ramirez,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Deal, yes.
Very good. Okay. Our local history mural for the Oswego campus.
Did want to mention, we didn't forget this. I took the mural design over to Little White School Museum, and they're going to work on creating kind of a key to it, historical things portrayed in the mural. And this would be the mural that would be here at this building as you walked in on that upper open area that would portray different pieces of history and historic things in our area. So they're going to create a key for us, as well as most of the pictures are from them, so they will put something about, you know, if you want more information, please visit Little White School Museum.
Can they comment on it too?
Yes.
Because some of us said, what's that? You know, and identifying it or giving us some background on it would be most helpful. Okay? Okay, moving on to open session. Total public comment are limited to 30 minutes. The board will now receive public comment concerning items on this agenda, as well as communications and reports from citizens or representatives from other agencies. Such comments should not include discussion of personnel matters, which should be brought directly to the attention of our director. Where a meeting is a meeting held in public, it's not a meeting of the public. It is the prerogative of the president of the board to recognize members of the audience. If you are recognized to address the board, you are asked to stand, identify yourself, and to address the whole board. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. With that, Erica?
Hi. So my name is Erica Wolfo, and I am from Yorkville. I wanted just to start by saying thank you to the library board and the staff for allowing all of us, especially our children, to have access to amazing books that allow our children to expand their worldview, change the status quo, and encourage children to ask questions and think critically for themselves. Library has always been a special place for me growing up, and it has always been a pleasure of mine to dive into a world that is not my own and learn about different people, whether they're real or they're fictitious. It's how I've been able to find more empathy for everybody in this world. I know I speak for most when I say that we trust the library. We trust the librarians, we trust the board and their ability to make choices based on age-appropriate books to make those decisions. And we also appreciate that as parents, we are able to make the final choice for our children or for ourselves. If we think that something is appropriate for our kids, by all means, let them read it. If we don't, no big deal. Before it is spoken, because I know it will be, I just want to reiterate, we're a country founded on religious freedom, and we are not a Christian nation or a Christian state, and this is not a private Christian library. And so those who oppose the content in this library have the same choices that we all do. You can read it, enjoy it, or ignore it, but we shouldn't allow the extreme views of a few to take away the choice of everybody, right? So also, it is against the law to ban books in this state, as we have just listened to all of the wonderful things coming up for the library, like the outreach programs. We need funding for that. If they were to ban books, they would not receive funding, so these wonderful programs would cease to exist, right? So in short, just stop harassing these poor people and move on, because it's not going to change. It's the law. If you don't like a book, don't read it. It's that simple. Thanks.
Thank you. Linda?
Hi, I'm Linda Boyle, and I'm a resident of Oswego, and I'd also like to thank the board and the library staff for all that you do. We really enjoy the library here. I've always believed that this country was founded on the concept of freedom, and that freedom includes the right to read any item, whatever you may choose. So please keep a wide variety of materials in your collection. There are many books in your collection that I'm not interested in and I don't really want to read, but I support the library in keeping a diverse collection that every member of our community may find literature that interests them. Thank you.
Thank you. Barb?
Thank you. Impacting this board are 45 goals and an adversarial list officially on record in Congress since 1963. Here are numbers 24, 25, and 26 of those adversarial goals. Eliminate all laws governing obscenity by calling them censorship and a violation of free speech and free press. Break down cultural standards of morality by promoting pornography and obscenity in books, magazines, motion pictures, radio, and TV. Present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. The accomplishment of these three goals is certainly observable in many on this board by the stance and arguments you make regarding materials selection for children. If all 45 goals on the adversarial list are accomplished throughout the USA, America, the constitutional republic, will have descended into America, the not communist country, for the list steadily trespassing upon us and infiltrating into us is called the 45 Goals of Communism. Relatedly, also impacting this board is a certain fog of deception regarding the human body, what it is, and how it works. Briefly, there are 9 major systems with organs specific to each one. The structural framework for the body is called the skeletal system. Movement by the body occurs via the muscular system. Signals for movement travel through the nervous system. Energy to do the work is provided by the digestive system. Ability to use the energy is related to oxygen provided by the respiratory system. Distribution of energy-producing substances occurs via the circulatory and lymphatic systems. Regulating and coordinating all systems happens by the endocrine system, and reproducing humans to make families and keep society going is the miracle of the reproductive system. From this review, we see that to consider it normal and fine for a portion of the digestive system to receive a portion of the reproductive system is succumbing to a fog of deception. Note how this fog of deception exactly coincides with the 3 adversarial goals previously mentioned. The creator of humankind and the one who birthed America for his purposes has more for us, individually and collectively, than deception and communism. As a lover of God and country, I say not on my watch. And for the sake of the children, I am here to take a stand against both. I'm also here to declare that that ship is going down and invite you to get on the gospel train instead. Thank you. Oh, excuse me. I have this is the list of 45 communist goals, and you might be surprised how many things we've already have already been accomplished, not us.
Okay. Mike?
Good evening. I'm here to speak tonight about the board's current public comment policy that was recently adopted. The current policy has several troubling components that violate the U.S. and Illinois Constitution. I caution the board in continuing to trample on the people's rights. As you are aware from previous comments, that people have certain God-given rights that can't be taken away, and that those purpose of this board is to protect the God-given rights. The newly adopted rules encroach upon the people's rights to make known their opinions and to apply the redress of grievance and freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is a pillar and enumerated right of the constitutional republic. The founding fathers had much to say about this topic. Benjamin Franklin said, "Freedom of speech is a principal pillar of a free government. When this support is taken away, the constitution of a free society dissolves, and tyranny is erected in its ruins." Republics and limited monarchies derive their strength and vigor from a popular examination into the action of magistrates. George Washington said, "If men are to be precluded from offering their sentiments on a matter which may involve the most serious and alarming consequences that can invite the consideration of mankind, reason is of no use to us. The freedom of speech may be taken away, and dumb and silent may be led like sheep to the slaughter." As a reminder, First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Congress shall make no law respecting and establishing of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridge the freedom of speech, or of press, or the right of the people peaceable to assemble and petition the government for redress of grievance. Illinois Constitution, Article 1, Section 4. All persons may speak, write, and publish freely, being responsible for the abuse of that liberty. In trials for libel, both civil and criminal, the truth when published with good motives and for justifiable ends shall be sufficient defense. Illinois Constitution, Article 1, Section 5. The people have the right to assemble in a peaceful manner, to consult for the common good, to make known their opinions to their representatives, and to apply for redress of grievance. The public comment rules established by this board are vague, can be interpreted in an arbitrary, subjective fashion, are content-based, and allow Mr. Tamlin to make rules changes not defined in the current policy on the spot. Rule number 11 states, individuals addressing the board must at all times adhere to library policies and the other rules as may be necessary for the efficient and orderly conduct of the meeting. But what rules apply to the public comments? Which other rules apply? How are the people supposed to know what these rules? If someone fails to return a book on time, are they barred from speaking in a meeting? This rule allows Mr. Tamlin to restrict speech or speakers with whom he disagrees, without due process or without proper notice in advance of the people regarding rules governing public comments. Rule number 14.
Mike.
Abusive,
Mike, you're
profane.
Thank you.
You're stopping me?
Yes. Dave and Sally?
I just signed in as a guest. I had no speaking.
Okay. That's okay. Thank you. Julie?
Hello, I'm Julie. As you guys know, I've been part of this library district my whole life. I totally remember Mrs. Stevens. That's an awesome girl, actually. I appreciate her. I remember her reading to me. So, anyway, as you guys know, I'm here not to ban books, not to be against a certain group of people. I think I say this to you every time, but I just want to keep saying it. But I'm here because I'm concerned about the sexual content in some of the books that are in the young adult section. So it doesn't matter who the author is. None of that is really why I'm here. I'm here because if the content is really sexual in nature, I really feel like it needs to leave the young adult section. I was thinking back to these last several months where I feel like we've kind of been together. And I was thinking back to when Ben Franklin read some of those books to us, I don't know, it was a few months back. The All Boys Aren't Blue and the Gender Queer. And I was thinking back to the images and just the things that they contained. And it was pretty disturbing. I think it was really hard for all of us to look at. I know it was hard for you. I mean, it made us squirm. And those books are still sitting in the young adult section in the library, and I'm not really sure why. I did, at your request, fill out like the concern slip, because you guys did ask me to do that, and I did that. I know a few other people did too. And I was told like an official process would start, but I've heard nothing, and it's been many months. So I don't know where else to go, except back to you guys with the same concern. But the pictures and the diagrams and the statements in those books could certainly be deemed pornographic because they do show many things, including penetration repeatedly. It's pretty graphic. I went ahead and researched this topic medically because I'm a nurse. And when we make medical decisions, we base it on research, not on opinion or on money or on anything else or on political view. It's just research. So I went to the NIH, which is the National Institute of Health, and I went to the National Library of Medicine because I thought it'd be better to get make decisions based on like good data. And so this article is called Compulsive Internet Pornography Use and Mental Health, and it's a cross-section study and a sample of university students. And it just looks at the effects of what this type of material can do to kids medically. This is medical. I was surprised to learn the majority of boys are first exposed to pornography between ages 9 to 13. And there were two main reasons why. One was personal curiosity and the other was unintentional exposure. Those were the two. And for girls, the unintentional exposure was the number one reason that they ended up getting exposed. A lot of these kids that got exposed went on then to become addicted, and it's pretty sad. So that's kind of why I'm here. It's about the unintentional exposure part. I don't think any of us want to expose kids to this stuff, but if we're doing something by allowing these types of books in the young adult section where they can just happen upon them without like parental oversight or anything, maybe we are complicit in the unintentional piece. So I condensed the article for the sake of time. I want to honor the time limit, but these things were some of the effects of pornography. It increases risky sexual behavior. It increases the number of sexual partners. It increases sexual permissiveness in engaging in extramarital sex, which as a nurse, and you guys probably know too, that drastically increases your risk of STDs, which can have terrible impacts physically on a person. It can even kill someone. It can sterilize them. It can affect their ability to have a future family. It can be really far-reaching. It does increase the likelihood that they will one day pay for sex. It negatively affects their relationship satisfaction in their life. It negatively affects their sexual satisfaction. It negatively impacts intimacy in their relationships. It increases binge drinking. It increases drug use. It decreases friendship quality. It decreases relationship quality with parents. It causes a negative perception of social acceptance. And it increases severe or extremely severe depression, stress, and anxiety, and the list just keeps going. Over 77% of boys report, this is in the NIH, that they feel that they should consume less pornography. This is not something they want to keep doing, like that was evident. This was something they felt like they needed to change, and they were having trouble with it because in that article, it says that they continued accessing pornography despite their intention to stop. So that would be addiction. And that is directly from the NIH article. This is not political, this is not any, this is just medically. This is what's documented. This is one article of research that's out there that you guys can read. So in conclusion, these books are promoting an addiction in our youth that is not healthy and it's not beneficial. It's just not in their best interest. And as parents and as board members, we should take those books that have that really explicit sexual content and just take them out of the kids section. Put them somewhere where it's in the adult section or the kids have to show an ID before they check it out. But just taking the trap out of the way so they can't accidentally get exposed to something here in our library. Just make it a little bit safer for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Margaret?
I'm Margaret Sheehan from Oswego, and in 1973, the Supreme Court of the United States abandoned the British standard of obscenity reactions of children and sensitive adults and placed the rule of an average person applying contemporary community standards. Now, this library has actual borders for community, within this community. So those outside of the border, as soon as they said pornography and obscenity, they moved out of community standards, and we the people turn themselves into outside agitators. Now, it wasn't librarians that did this. It is not the library board that did this. It is not state legislators that did this. They did it to themselves. If they had objected to cookbooks, if they had objected to auto repair books, they would have been fined. but as soon as they said pornography, it went down to community standards. Those people are not within our community. And so while the board may allow them to speak, they should not be taken into consideration. Also, the threats have to stop. I mean, the threats against this board that are pretending to be biblical prophecy have got to stop. I'm appalled at the threats that I've heard in these meetings. And I'm going to refer them to Matthew 7:15, King James Version, which reads, "Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves." Thank you.
Okay. I'll ask for a motion to go into closed session at this time.
Before we do that, I just want to make a brief comment. So I have requested this board to have the staff come up with a policy so we can discuss to address the issues brought by Julie and many residents over many months, and we still have yet to have a discussion of policy presented about how we can control pornographic materials from getting in the hands of minors without their parents' permission.
Thank you, Mr. Martyr. Could I have a motion to go into closed session, please, for purchase or lease of real property for the use of a public body?
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. Roll call, please.
Friedman.
Yes.
Camplin.
Yes.
Waller.
Yes.
Ramirez.
Yes.
Martyr.
Yes.
Deal. Yes.
Okay. We're in regular session right now. Our next regular meeting is the third Wednesday, March 20th, 5:30 at the Montgomery campus. And
No,
with,
he said third. No,
Pardon
he
me?
said third.
is that right?
Yep.
Yes. I missed it last
Yeah,
time
yeah,
because I was
that's
on
Oh,
the fourth,
I got an
Okay.
extra, sorry.
so I was just pointing.
What's the?
It's the 2020.
March 20th.
Oh, wow. Oh, it's early.
March 20th.
It's early because it's spring break.
I had it,
Everybody got it?
I had the 27th, so I'm not sure.
Okay. With that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Stay warm.